Monte Rosso Vineyard is one of the most historically important vineyards in Sonoma Valley. Right now, I'm standing in the block that we're very fortunate to work with here with vines planted in the late 1880s. This vineyard is really kind of a miracle because when you think about where it is, which is on the side of a mountain, it's on the Sonoma side of Mount Veeder, and the fact that it was planted in the 1880s, it meant that somebody back in the 1880s was intrepid enough to say, no, I don't want to plant down on the valley's floor soils. I want to go up on these incredibly red, rocky soils, clear a bunch of land, and then plant trees. I mean, it must have been a Herculean task to put in, particularly when you consider the size of Monte Rosso. It really is an incredible vineyard in that it has a lot of remaining old vine blocks in it. It predominantly Zinfandel, but there's still small amounts of Semillon, and there's even a block of Cabernet planted in 1939. But this particular block is really special in that it's the same block that my father made at Ravenswood from 1993 to 2002. I started working with Monte Rosso for Bedrock in 2008. Working with the Semillon, and I got a call from the vineyard manager at that point in 2010, and he said, hey, we finally have some old vine Zinfandel available for you. And there's probably 50 acres of old vine Zinfandel. It's all over the ranch. There's north facing aspects, there's south facing aspects, there's west facing aspects. So the very fact that he brought me back to this one block, block 42, that happened to be the same block that my father used for all those years is really cool. So it's really fun to be able to make the wines from this section of the ranch, but then also be able to taste them side by side, some of the wines that my father made from the 90s, which are aging really beautifully. And the reason for that is that even though Monte Rosso is not as diverse, it doesn't have the Petit Straw and Alicante and some of the stuff you normally associate with adding age-worthiness to old Zinfandel field blends. This is nearly pure Zinfandel, but it is up on the side of a mountain, and as a result it has structure and acid, two things that really allow it to age beautifully. And it's also planted on these really deep Tuscan red clay loam soils, which are the same soils we have at Bedrock Vineyard, which is located just on the valley floor below Monte Rosso. And what we found with these soils is that it really imparts incredible perfume. There's always this really pretty spice, almost a citrus peel element into these wines that really sets them apart and makes them distinct. One of the biggest things that you contend with when you're dealing with fruit that's grown on the side of a mountain is that for whatever reason, the way that the vines respire acidity changes. And the result is that the grapes, before we harvest them, tend to have a lot of malic acid in them. And what this does is it makes the acid feel artificially high because all that malic acid is going to go away during malolactic fermentation. So what I've learned over the years is that up here, I almost have to pick a little sooner than I typically would or before I would normally think something is ready, because there's actually way more ripeness there than I think. So if I actually were to pick the grapes when I thought that they really tasted good to me, I'd actually probably end up with a wine that was maybe a little more ripe, maybe a little bigger than I would like. And up here, we're really trying to preserve what makes Monte Rosso so unique, and that's that incredible drive, precision, perfume, and vibrancy. So that's one of the main things I've had to learn. We can cut that last part out.